Hi there! I get email from people just like you. As you know, in these videos I make polemic arguments against the zeitgeist to prevailing ignorance that we're bombarded with every day. Well, sometimes people think that the prevailing ignorance is not only true, but that it's something I've never heard before. Writes YouTube user Kregaron. In a two-party system, it comes down to who owns the center. The fringes can dream all they want, but unless they move to the center by ideology, framing, or logic, you're blowing smoke. Obama has done extremely well so far by working the system from a left-of-center direction. It isn't his fault that climate change and healthcare legislation are headed towards nullification, or that the financial industry has captured government lock, stock, and barrel, though he could do more certainly. For the next election, the choice is going to be between Obama or Palin. Who will you vote for? I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention to anything you said. That's not to say I didn't read it. I totally did. You just saw me. But my eyes did glaze over, because I'm exposed to this bullshit all the time. Not only is it not novel or new to me, but it's not even logically sound. Since I am exposed to that same line of drivel every day, I could finish in my mind most of the sentences that you wrote after just the first few words. First off, the ideas of left and right are really irrelevant today. Comparing America against most industrialized nations, our left wing is right wing, and our right wing is insane. Obama isn't working from a left-of-center position. He's working from a slightly right-of-center position. And it is partially Obama's fault that healthcare legislation and climate change legislation are going the way they are. As president, the news follows him everywhere he goes. If he really wanted to, he could call on the American people to lobby their congresspeople for truly effective legislation. But Obama doesn't even support single-payer healthcare right now, even though he says that single-payer is the best option. He's not shooting for it, and he's not calling on us to lobby for it. It's a lack of leadership on his part. But more importantly, let's get to the issue of strategic voting. So for the next election, the choices are going to be only between Obama and Palin? Actually, neither Obama or Palin are going to be in the next election. The next federal election is in 2010. It's the midterm election, the one where we vote for congresspeople and senators. And besides that, there's municipal elections going on all the time. It's apparent you don't vote often enough to know that. You're obviously not that good at it yet. But truly, there's no way to know who the 2012 election is going to be between. Maybe Obama will be challenged in the primaries by somebody who supports real reform, like creating a single-payer insurance system, ending the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, shutting down the 702 military bases that we have running around the world in 103 different countries, putting an end to illegal wiretapping, prosecuting Bush and Cheney for war crimes, putting a direct tax on pollution, legalizing victimless crimes like marijuana use, making it illegal to run a for-profit prison, getting the United States out of NAFTA, CAFTA, and the WTO and returning to bilateral trade agreements based on human rights and environmental quality principles, shutting down Guantanamo, that's not shut down yet, shutting down the Federal Reserve and allowing the Treasury its full constitutional authority to back our currency by credit, putting a direct tax on derivatives trading, and the list goes on. And maybe he'll lose. And maybe Sarah Palin will be trampled by a moose. Or maybe she'll lose in the primary to somebody who's actually qualified. Or Ron Paul! But even if these things happen, it's not just a two-way race. It's just framed that way in the mainstream media. In truth, there are 4 parties currently in the United States that have ballot access in enough states to win the presidency. The next election is between these 4. You have a choice of Greens, Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians. Is it going to be a 4-way tie? Probably not, because most Americans are brainwashed enough to think like you do. Most Americans don't understand the voting process. There's a few things that you really need to know and understand before you can make a good decision at the ballot box. Number 1, your vote doesn't matter that much. Number 2, voting is the absolute least that you can do as a citizen. Number 3, we have an electoral college system. Number 4, a vote for a Green is not a vote for a Republican. A vote for a Libertarian is not a vote for a Democrat. Strategic voting does not work on a mathematical level or a practical level. So let's break this down point by point. Number 1, your vote doesn't matter that much. Here's how real life breaks down into math. Your vote doesn't matter. Mathematically speaking, you are insignificant. In the popular vote, your vote is worth 0.000000003%. Well, it would be if 100% of us voted, which we don't. The actual number is rather pathetic. I'll get to that in a second. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if you vote strategically or if you vote for your heart of hearts. Your vote is not going to decide the election. So really, you shouldn't feel any pressure to vote for the lesser of two evils. It really doesn't matter. If you're gonna vote, you might as well vote for the government you want. Number 2. Voting is the least of your responsibilities as a citizen. A discussion that I have with fellow activist friends of mine whenever voting comes up is the fact that voting is the absolute least that you can do. It's really sad that Americans are so stupid and so lazy that nonprofit organizations who are trying to increase the voter turnout have to sexy up the vote, make it seem super important. Because in 2000, 60% of us couldn't even be bothered to get off our asses and participate in the most basic, entry-level form of civic activity. And while it's great that there's all these organizations that are trying to get people out to vote, there's a bit of a lie surrounding all their efforts. You can't just vote and then sit back on your couch and eat TV dinners and watch Oprah and expect your politicians to just deliver. You have not only a right, but a duty to self-governance. That means you have to get involved and actually do shit. Go to town hall meetings. Hound your elected officials. You have to pay attention to what they're doing. You have to call them regularly. You have to organize your community. Get groups of people together who all care about one issue and lobby your representative when they come home from their recess. As crazy as all these anti-reform, screamy, yelly people are, they've got the right idea. Voting is like brushing your teeth in the morning. After you're done with that, you still have the rest of the day ahead of you. Number 3, we have an electoral college system. You could look at this one in a few different ways. Either your vote counts less, or your vote counts more. Your impact as an individual, both as a voter and as an organizer, is much stronger at a local level than it is at a national level. So your vote sort of counts for more, but then it also counts for less. Because even if your state splits the electoral votes by congressional district like my home state does, your vote isn't accurately reflected in the national scheme. At the same time, if you could organize effectively and win just one electoral vote for a third-party candidate, it would have a far greater impact on our national psychology than it would if the people in your congressional district were lumped into the national percentage of a popular vote. Either way, it frees you from responsibility and allows you to vote your conscience. My state went in both districts in a landslide for Obama. It didn't matter that I didn't vote Obama. He won the electoral college votes just fine. He didn't need my vote, and I didn't want to give it to him. And I don't regret it, unlike 2004 when I voted for Kerry, a candidate I didn't support. Number 4, a vote for a Green is not a vote for a Republican, and a vote for a Libertarian is not a vote for a Democrat. It was popular to say in 2000 and 2004 that a vote for a third-party candidate was a vote for George W. Bush. It was also popular to say in 2008 that a vote for a Libertarian was a vote for Obama. And once again that a vote for Cynthia McKinney or Ralph Nader was a vote for McCain. This is total bullshit. This sort of thinking comes from a perspective of fear that causes a person to vote strategically for candidates whose policies they don't actually support. Strategic voting doesn't work. So for simplicity's sake, let's say the US population is just 100 people. So I have here 100 lentils. This is the 40% or 40 lentils that represent the voting population. And this is the 60% of you assholes who are too lazy to vote. Since this is 100% of the voting population, only these votes matter when they're presented as election results. So now, these votes are split fairly evenly. Say that the Democrats have 52% and the Republicans have 48%. In reality, there's only 19 lentils and 21 lentils here. And of the total population, there's only 19% and 21%. So the winner only has to get votes from 21% of the population. Yeah, only 21% of the total population. That's a Democratic majority? So until your vote is cast, it remains in this pool of uncast votes. So let's see what happens when we add your vote to the voting population, but have it vote as a third party. Now, we've increased the total number of votes in the voting population. This one vote, divided by the total population of 41, gives you a percentage of 2.43%. If we're only counting the 100% of the voting population, instead of having 52%, now they only have 51%. And the Republicans, instead of having 48%, only have 46% of the voting population. Yeah, they both went down. That's right. Even though it's really obvious to people who think logically, this can be proven mathematically that a vote for a third-party candidate is actually a vote against both Democrats and Republicans equally. So all you jerks who think that not voting is a good idea, you make up 60% of the population. Imagine that all of you decided to rally together in your disgust of the Republicans and the Democrats and vote other. Suddenly, we have a split not between 50 and 50, but we have a split between 60 and roughly 20 and 20. Strategic voting doesn't work. Now me, I refuse to vote for anybody but the best. Why? I want the best for my country. 'Cause I'm a fucking patriotic Eagle Scout. Suck it, cowards. I want America to be the best fucking country on the planet. Could I say I'm biased? So who cares about all this scare tactic nonsense? People should have the moral courage to vote for the platform that they actually want. Because if they don't, they're not going to get it. We're just going to get consistently worse and worse candidates. And consistently worse and worse policies.